Hey, Captain Ryan. When did you first realize that fishing wasn't just something you enjoyed, it was what you wanted your life to revolve around?
That's a good question. Honestly, I did not really know because it's always been a part of my life. All my, like, everything that I've done. Let's say, for example, I go back into when I was a kid. Everything I did revolved around fishing. Everything. Uh, what I did after school, to people that I would talk to in school, everything just kind of revolved around it. And then I, you got older, the college, that I was at, I was like, honestly, I looked at it and I was like, yep, good school. It's going to be close to where my grandparents have a lake home at. It was going to be easy for me to get there. And then when I graduated from college, I found myself in Chicago. I made a mistake. Everything happens for a reason. I do believe that. I look at things and I'm like, okay, well, I landed here. Well, it's not the greatest place to be for fishing, but I made the most of it. So, and then from then on out, jobs revolved around where the best fishing was in the Midwest. That's honest to God's truth. And I found that I had a lot of things in common with people that I worked with, and it was fishing. Even if we didn't get along at work, we usually managed to fish together. So I didn't really know, to be honest with you. And there was a point in my life where I kind of got lost, and fishing brought me back. So I just knew, and that's very hard to explain. And I don't even want to go there. But the whole thing is that you don't really know, and sometimes you're called to do something, but you don't really know. You're just doing it, and you're doing it naturally. So when I met Melinda, and something changed there in my brain as far as, okay, well, maybe I can do this someday. And one thing I didn't do was tell anybody about it. I kept it very, I didn't tell my friends, I didn't tell anybody about it. And the only one I told was Melinda.
So, good segue. We wanted to do this podcast because there is a lot of confusion out there about identity. There's a lot of people speaking about it from different lenses, which is all actually really good. And there's also a lot of people, especially, let's say, 40s, 50s, that are having some type of midlife crisis. And it's a big conversation, and it can lead to a lot of depression, frustration, and anxiety, along with comparison and self-judgment, if you are stuck in the chaos of it and comparing yourself, especially on social media. So Ryan and I have these conversations a lot, and we haven't shared our story in a long time. And so I thought it would be really good to share it from the lens of how we came to be as Good Karma Sport Fishing, to help inspire some people out there. I'm going to sprinkle in a little human design. I use human design in my coaching practice. I love human design. I'm a student of human design, and so is Ryan. And just hopefully give some guidance out there and some things for people to think about, because where we're going, which hasn't been the greatest, is copying other people's blueprints and thinking that's the way, and then spending money on courses and in group coaching calls with people that are more of a mentor than a coach. Those are two different things. And then they kind of just end up getting off the call and they're still confused and they don't know where to go and what to do. So when I ended my toxic relationship, which was prior to Ryan, I wrote about that in my best-selling book, Life and Love Lessons. I basically denounced to the world that I was over men. I was not going to care anymore. I was going to be an amazing aunt. My sister announced that she was pregnant. However, the duality. I also said to the universe, I want to find a guy who's taller than me with dark curly hair, big smile, who has a hobby. And so when I went on Match.com, and Ryan, whatever Match.com does at the time, I remember, reached out to me, and then we met, and he had fishing as a hobby, and I saw how amazing he was, and we both got to know each other, and we wanted to move somewhere where it never ever snowed, and the full story is on my website, melindavanfleet.com. I, as a builder, was like, oh, this could be really amazing. I saw his gift. I saw his passion. I saw his heart. I saw that he was really good at figuring things out. He has a science background. His human design profile is 1-3. So he has the researcher in him and the experimenter, which is really amazing for being an entrepreneur. And he's a manifesting generator. And I was like, this is something we can have passion and purpose, and is part of our identity. Me as a builder, I'm a 3-5 generator in human design. So I'm an experimenter. I try things. I teach from that lens. I can keep the ship going. And just together, it was just the perfect thing, the perfect vehicle, the perfect passionate storm, let's say, that I was like, hey, if he becomes a captain, we can build something from here. And we're in alignment with both of our identities, Ryan's and mine. And it worked. It clicked. And so we didn't force our way into an industry, let's say, going, oh, where's a little bit of white space? Or I kind of like to do this on the side. It was full on, this makes sense. Without a doubt, with no other idea of a goal, no other thing I'd like to do. And when I asked Ryan a couple years ago, what else would you want to do? What did you say?
Nothing.
Nothing. And we don't plan on ever retiring. That's also not something we see as part of our life. And if someone wants to retire, that's great. That's what I mean. We're all different. So Ryan will fish until he probably passes out on a boat someday when he's 95. And that's just how it is. And we are good with that and excited about that. But there are people out there that then think that that's a model for them, that may not be in alignment for that.
Right.
And that is what's going on out there that ends up being confusing.
Exactly. Yeah, I see it a lot now, more than ever. It goes back to social media. So for myself, as far as what I do things for myself. That's it. I do things for myself that I know are going to make my clients happy. Okay? So that's number one. And that means being the best at what clients want. Okay? So that means that, when I started out, I didn't skip any steps. So I started out, like, say, for example, I wanted to be the absolute best yellowtail snapper fisherman that I could be. I didn't know how many years that was going to take. And there was a clientele that really liked to catch big yellowtails. So I focused a lot on that. Then from there, I'm like, I want to be the absolute best at catching bigger snappers and larger groupers. And then that's where I'm at today.
So when I listen to Ryan share his fishing stories, this is what I take from this. And this is what I hope people see in this and start to, if you're someone struggling, thinking about this for themselves. And that is that you found the right path, not because it's easy, but because the hard work is worth doing. And that's the difference. So even though it was hard for him to figure it out, very frustrating, a lot of trial and error, a lot of research, money in the meantime, time in the meantime, let alone factors of fishing here in the Florida Keys, heat, weather, so much fun stuff. But to him, it was still worth doing. It was still worth doing. And there's, this other conversation out there that I see pop around the internet about hustle, hustle culture. Well, if you're really in alignment and you're loving what you're doing, again, it's not really hard work because you love what you do. But if you're getting completely stressed out and suffering from a health perspective, you're likely not supposed to be doing what you're doing. And that is actually the truth about the hustle culture, is that you're likely not doing what you should be doing, which is then resulting in physiological issues, health issues, anxiety. And you should really look at going, okay, what do I love to do? What do I love to do? And I can build my life around this. Not just what do I love to do, but what do I love to do? And I can build my life around this, and I can stick it out even when it sucks. Right?
Yep, that's right.
Even when it sucks.
Even when it sucks.
Even when it sucks. And I'll never forget this day. We were standing in the kitchen where we used to live, and Ryan would come home and he would complain. Let's be honest. I'll just say it like this. He would complain. Blah, 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 blah. Fishing's tough, da, 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 da. So one day I looked at him, and because I was just so over it, and I was frustrated, and that's my non-self theme in human design. So if I get frustrated, I have to look at that, because that's not a great place to be. And I was like, dude, like, you just want to quit? Like, what? And he goes, no, I love to figure it out. I'm good. And he like walked away from me. I was like, what? So he loves that. It's like the person who has a really hard run, and you're a runner and you're sweating and you beat yourself up to get that, that next level runner. I'm not a runner, so, but, they tell those stories and they get the runner's high, and then they're so proud of themselves when they cross the line. Like, that's like what he goes through. And so I now just let him like do the thing, just keep me out of the complaining. But he really doesn't complain that much anymore. It's definitely been cut in half, let's say. But my point is like, you have to love it through the hard piece. You have to love it through the hard piece. And then you know that that's what you're supposed to be doing. And that's the win. That's the win. That's your passion and your purpose. That's your ikigai. When you are really like knowing what you want to do, when you're showing up with what you love to do, and then it feeds out into the world. So what he loves to do feeds out into the world, meaning his clients, and then he can make money from it. That's your ikigai. That's like what you're supposed to be doing. And so anyone out there that's just going, okay, there's a little white space here in the fishing industry for accountants, and I happen to be an accountant, so let's like worm my way in here. Like, if you're not really all in, like, it's probably not gonna work. You could limp along, you could have some success here and there, but you have to be like all in nowadays in order to have the stamina and the perseverance to keep going on the tough days, because there will be tough days. I promise you that, which is why having a coach or a mentor in your back pocket is a good thing to help keep you on the course. If you're meant to do that, if you really want to do that.
That's right. Yeah. You're going to have, there's a lot of challenging days. Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
Yep. And they call it the messy middle. It's true. You need a lot of grit to get through the messy middle. It
definitely is a messy middle.
And that's why a lot of people can't be entrepreneurs. They don't have that grit and stamina and perseverance. And I think, again, having support, some type of support, whether it's spousal support, mentorship support. Some people have family support, which is amazing. We've had family support. So however you want to put it, it's also helpful to have support in the process.
It is 1,000%. 1,000%.
So we have totally to find that level of support, because as as life is, it's not every day is sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to Gemini to understand what Gemini actually thinks about identity. Because as I kicked off the beginning of this podcast, I mentioned that, there's so much out there. And basically, identity is not static. So you have your inner design, let's say. So for example, I'm a builder. I've known this about myself for as long as I can remember. When I was in retail in the corporate world, I was always giving underperforming areas to clean up. I would clean them up. I would do that job for a year or two, and then I would either get moved to a different department, or I would leave and go to a different company and make more money. So I'm just a builder. It doesn't matter what I'm building. It doesn't matter. I just like to see something grow. I like to play around with different ideas and see something grow. So I love that. And Ryan, again, has the researcher aspect in him and also the experimenter. And so for him, tied to fishing, and fishing helped clear his mind ever since he was a kid. He fished for peace in his mind. That was just a match. It was just a match that this quote unquote hobby was something that we could make into a business that has potential, especially in this world now. People are either online or in real life, and we have both. We have online with all of our courses, and we have in real life with the charters. So we actually are in a great spot for the future, because a robot can't really replace my husband on a charter. No. So people will always like to fish, and anyone can fish. So it's a great place. It's a great spot to be in. Actually, it's a really great spot to be in. So
we all used to say that no 2 days are alike. Now it's like out there's no two. It's every hour to every hour now. Mm-hmm. So it's more challenging now, than it's ever been. But a good fisherman, or anybody that's like an athlete or something like that, you either are going to relish in that, and that makes a big difference. Is a lot of people can't adapt to it. So
because the quality of your life and business is heavily influenced by whether you're living from borrowed expectations. So again, someone else's blueprint, someone else's idea, or your own examined identity. So again, knowing yourself. Part 2 would be like knowing where you're going, what are your goals, where do you see yourself? And then the external is just how it shows up on the outside and all those factors. Again, grit, perseverance, are you able to stick it through on the days that really suck, that are not easy? And that's part of the test. If it were easy, everyone would be doing it, right?
Right.
And there would be 100% versus just a 1%.
Yeah.
Right? The 1% I believe is real. I do believe that. I believe that. I believe there's a 1%. Just look around you. I believe there's a 1% and there's a 99%, and you make a choice and you go, you know what? I've figured out what I want to do, and I'm going to stick with it no matter how long it takes. And you know what? I always suggest to people too, and I have had to remind myself of this over the years, and I was just having a conversation with Ryan about this. No one's an overnight success. And we have talked about this on podcasts.
Yep.
No one is an overnight success. No one. It's not possible. And it's actually not possible in science. It's not possible. There are actually biological factors that make it where you can not be an overnight success. Like, it's just not possible in yourselves. So, yeah, you have to stick it out. Mm-hmm. You have to stick it out. You have to figure out what really lights you up, that's going to help keep you going, and not base it because you saw someone else down the street with a business idea. So you're like, okay, I need to make money, and so let's copy this person and do that. It just doesn't work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. You have to figure out, what problems do you genuinely enjoy solving?
That's it.
What problems do you genuinely enjoy solving? So if you can answer that question, if you're sitting right now listening to this podcast and you're wondering, hey, this sounds like me. What am I going to do with the rest of my life? I hate my job. I feel miserable. I feel stuck. I don't have any like friends. I'm totally isolated. There's so many people going through that. If you can just sit with this with a pad of paper and a pen and just honestly do some soul work there and just say, what kind of problems do I genuinely enjoy solving? What do you enjoy solving? And that's when we started our business with our boat. Our problem solving was an affordable, high quality charter. And we were one of the first people to do our model.
Mm-hmm.
That was the problem we were solving.
That was it.
That was the problem we were solving.
And it wasn't going to happen overnight.
And it didn't happen overnight. It took 6.5 years for Ryan to have the confidence, that's the most important piece, the internal piece, where he finally felt like he knew what he was quote unquote doing, let's say.
Yep. That was confident enough to say that that's the one thing about this whole sport is that I am confident that when I go now to my boat and get on that boat, that I'm going to put somebody on or give that person several opportunities to catch a trophy mutton snapper or grouper. I am confident that I can say that. Confident. If somebody wants to go yellowtail fishing, then I'm confident that I can do that. Confident.
But those things, just to dial it in.
Yeah, let's dial it in a little bit.
I love you. Are within the context of solving a problem.
Of solving a problem.
Right.
Of solving a problem.
So we know, especially because I go to the dock, we know why people book with Ryan and we know what they're looking for. So we know what problems they're trying to solve.
Yes.
So that could be a whole other podcast, but
that's another
we're going to leave
podcast
that
in
as
itself.
that. So our identity, let's say, as a business, evolved from being a price point, affordable charter that was high quality back in the day, and we were one of the first, let's just say, for the record. And now there's more options, for sure. So our identity evolved. However, we still kept our core identities that I'm a builder and Ryan's a researcher who also likes to experiment and build and loves to fish. See what I'm saying? So the external piece of our identity, right, shifted
right
from being an affordable, high quality charter. Now the price is the price. We don't think about being affordable. That's not what the, let's say, goal is. We actually see who our client is now.
Right. Yep, I know who my client is.
And we know what they're specifically looking for when they go on the internet or on Instagram or on YouTube and look for a fishing charter in the Florida Keys and why they come back.
Right.
Consistently come back.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that. So I think this is a great thing actually that we segued to because it goes into that other part of your identity evolving, right? Right? So you have your core, like Gemini said. So you have your core, you know who you are, right? You know who you are, you know what makes you tick, what lights you up. For me, it's building. Let's just stick with that. But then the whole piece of you is not static. You're not static as a human. You evolve. So then it's like, okay, what is the next thing? What is the next thing? And that's the evolution. And that piece is, I would say, harder than the initial piece.
Right. And I'm getting,
sure.
and I constantly get asked about, like, what's next for you? What's next? I get asked that by clients. What's next? What's next? And my answer is, I say, what do you mean, what's next? I really love what I do. I love being out here with you. One thing that has evolved is that it's like I love to be out there with the clients. It's like something that I enjoy it. You love being out there, and I love to educate people, and it's a different thing. I can't even explain it. And then when they ask me what's next, and I go, well, what do you mean? Now, sometimes they'll ask me about, well, you're going to start sport fishing. And I was like, I'll say, you know what? I haven't been really called by my human to do that. I don't feel it. If I feel it, I'm like, I just don't do something to do something because somebody else is doing it, kind of like, right?
Yeah.
I just don't
100%.
do that. And I know people that do that, and then it's like anything else. You're not like you're what's the word for it? You're not fulfilling who you are as a human being by going and doing something because the other guy is doing it. I just never been called. So not to say that someday I'll do it. My experience hasn't been great with it. Fishing with some other guys, I haven't really enjoyed it. I enjoy eating it. But I'm still not called. I just don't feel it. I just don't
So what I love when Ryan says this, for everyone out there that is struggling with doubt and projections of other people, okay? So what happens is people project onto you their own things. This is just a fact. I didn't make this up. This is out there in more of a spiritual, metaphysical conversation. But people project onto others. And so he may have someone on his charter who, and there's so many factors. And I asked Ryan, I'm like, you should ask them more questions to understand, like, where is this coming from, right? But they could be projections because they're not happy in their life. So then they look at you as like, dude, you got to work really hard to do this business, and it's a lot of overhead and whatever. And so then they kind of project that onto Ryan, right? And again, this is out there. This is not just only happening to us. This happens to lots of people all over the world. There's 8 billion people in the world or whatever. So that's like something to consider. And then sometimes people are just curious and they're making conversation. That's something to consider. And then sometimes someone sees, like, let's say a YouTube video, and they're like, oh, that looked pretty cool and really fun. Like, do you think you want to do that? And they're just, again, curious, and there's nothing wrong with those things. So I always suggest to my clients, like, to just kind of do a deeper dive to really understand, like, how is this showing up for you? And if it's creating doubt, then that's something to really consider working on. If it's making you just contemplate it, to go, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? That's great. You should totally contemplate the concept, the idea, 100%, because that could be your next step. If you're like, gosh, yeah, I really do want to do it. But we have been faced with this sword fishing question so many times, Ryan has, and I've been on a charter with him sword fishing. We didn't caught anything. It was like a waste in a way. That, I know Ryan. Ryan likes to research. He likes to roll his sleeves up. He likes to catch a lot of fish. He likes action. And so just trolling for swordfish is not that type of fishing. It's very different. And so yes, sure, it's super exciting when you catch a sword. I'm not discounting that at all. But Ryan likes more action. So he likes a little bit of a challenge of running around and figuring spots out and figuring out the baits and changing it up and trying this and trying that. Like, he loves that. And it's very exciting for the clients too, when they're like, oh my gosh, it was an action-packed day. This was actually fun. Mm-hmm. So it's just a different thing. But again, notice where it's causing contemplation, which is good, or doubt, which is not so great. I'm just going to be honest. That's not so great. But contemplate it. Go, this is something I want to do, something I not want to do, but don't let it seep in doubt. That's where we get into like a little not so great area, and I'm just being direct with love, where you start to doubt yourself, that you're missing the boat on something, that you're doing something wrong, that you're a failure, you're comparing yourself, you're judging yourself. And be mindful if someone's projecting that onto you, and where you then need to draw a boundary, whether it's energetically or you just don't talk to that person anymore. Like, those are things that you have to consider. And again, that's where having a mentor that can hold space for you and help you work through those things is really important. But in general, I hope this helps people out there, because this is a thing for sure. This is a thing, people projecting onto others, which then causes you to doubt yourself. And sometimes people quit, sometimes people get derailed. You know, it can go all sorts of different ways, but it's something to be mindful of and not take it personal. So the more you can be certainty is like the most, I feel like getting it tattooed on my forehead some days. Certainty about what you're doing, why you're here on this earth, and stay the course to that, the more successful you're going to be. It's literally proven. You can watch a gazillion different podcasts about successful entrepreneurs, and they will tell you they were certain through all the crap, through all the ups and downs, through all the things that can happen, from, you know, bankruptcy to getting sued to losing everything to losing a deal. You know, they were still certain in their gift and what their purpose was in the world and how they had to show up. They were still certain. So that's the thing. So if someone's projecting onto you, then be mindful of that. You don't want them to take away your certainty. You really don't. You have to be very careful of that and mindful, and send them love. You can send them love from a distance.
Yep, 100%.
Like, I'm not going to let that person project their lack of purpose in their life onto me. I'm staying the course.
Yep.
So, and I say that with love, because we've all know some people out there, likely, as I say this podcast, you're probably nodding your head and going, yep, I can think of a few people here. And yeah, it happens. It's just a thing. It's just life, right?
That's right.
It's just life. Anything else you want to add?
Nope, that's it. I just tell people, just do what you love to do. And then, but with that, you got to really, 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 really love it.
Yes, you do.
Because you know what? If you don't really love it, you're going to end up hating it.
Yep. And that's when we call it the hustle, but it's more than that. It's just that you're not really meant to be probably doing what you're doing, because you're not aligned. That word gets overused, but it's still a good word. So here's some questions just to ask yourself, and I'll put these in the show notes so you don't have to struggle to get a pen and paper, especially if you're driving. Where do I consistently feel more energized? Where do I consistently feel more energized? What environments drain me? So if you're someone that literally you cannot sit at a desk at a computer, that would be an example. Or you don't like being outside in the heat for 10 hours. Those would be the opposite end, right? And what decisions repeatedly prove correct for me? What decisions repeatedly prove correct for me? So what does that mean? That means that you are making a choice of what to do for the day, and you're like, should I do this or should I do this? And you go with your gut, you follow your intuition, you go with your gut, however you want to put it, and you do that one thing, and you're like, gosh, this really worked out for me. I learned something new, I discovered something, I met a new person, you know, whatever. There's so many amazing, abundant things that can happen to you, and they don't have to be money related. They can just be connections. You discovered a podcast.
Yeah.
You found something in a store that was like on sale, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is a really great next step for me, a book to read. You know, it could be anything, right? What decisions repeatedly prove correct for me? That, if you follow that, if you follow these three questions in general, but if you follow that, you make decisions every single day that are proving correct for you, you will be on the fast track. I promise you. I have the chills. I have the chills as I say this. You will be on the fast track because you are then working in alignment with your identity.
Yep. That's it.
So that's all I have to say. My website is melindavanfleet.com. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Please share it with a friend. Again, this topic is so big right now and so confusing. And so I really hope that sharing our examples and sharing some things to think about, as well as some pothole there that Ryan segued into with projections, that it can really, really help someone. It's a masterclass in itself. I feel this podcast is a masterclass in itself, and I really appreciate it if you shared it with someone in your life that could use a little love. So
That's right.
Ryan?
And you can follow me on Instagram at goodkarmasportfishing_FL_keys. And my website is goodkarmasportfishing.com.
So thank you everyone for listening.
And remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good.